Oh, you are recording, aren't you?
Yep, it just started. You're good.
Um, Hi everyone. Thanks for coming. If you don't know me already, which I think all of you do, but if you're watching this recorded, I'm Allie Frye, and I've been working with the Choice Agents for over 5 years now, and you guys are amazing. And this is just one more thing to kind of add value to you guys and all that you do. Don't ever hesitate to reach out. We're going to go through a couple different things, but as always, don't hesitate to speak up and ask any questions in the chat or unmute yourself. And if you're watching this recorded again, just shoot me a text, email, or give me a call and we'll talk. Let me share my screen. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So we'll go over just like creative financing as usual, reminders about some of those things, the pre-approval letters as a selling tool, and setting up a system for better conversion and a quick mortgage rate update. Um, so creative financing, we usually talk about this. There's so many different ways for your buyers to finance their loans. And a lot of times, either they or sometimes realtors think that they wouldn't be able to qualify just because they don't fit into the box of, conventional lending or FHA, loans that we all kind of know about. There's so many other options out there. And without that initial conversation to explore what is and might be available, they won't ever buy. So, starting that conversation is obviously the most important. Thinking outside the box, like I said, is one of the options for doctors or people in the medical field, is one of those technically non-QM qualified mortgage loans. Um, they can do up to 100% financing with no PMI. And we actually just added a couple different medical profession fields to the list. Before it was just kind of a short list, but I think the psychiatry was one of the biggies that added in pharmacy and nurse and the what however you say that. I can never say that. Anesthesiologist. Um, so that's a good one, especially if you work with doctors or again, people in the medical field. But besides doctor loans, there's several other options. This is not the only options on this list, but it kind of gives you a good idea. DSCR, which I know a lot of you have heard of, but that's just basically using the rental income from the subject property to qualify for the loan. If you're working with investors, that's a biggie. Or bank statement loans, interest only loans. There's 40-year term options for people that want to kind of reduce that monthly payment. People that have just 1099 income like yourselves, I-10 borrowers, and if maybe somebody has a lot of assets, but they don't have necessarily the income on paper, we can use assets to essentially use as part of your income. We calculate that a certain way and use that as a monthly income based on their total assets available and kind of depends on whether they're, retirement funds or just, normal checking savings account funds, that sort of thing. And we went over some doctor loan things. So if you even get the slightest idea that maybe one of your buyers or potential buyers is kind of outside the box, definitely make the introduction so we can go over what specifics and maybe find something that works best for them to get them into the home. And a lot of times later on, they'll be able to refinance to a more conventional loan and at least they're in the house. So talking about just being on the same team, I know I was talking to a newer agent recently, and they weren't even thinking about the whole like team aspect, like your lender, your attorney, your home inspector, everybody's like on this team. And I know I promote this when I talk to buyers on the phone initially. Just making sure everybody's on the same team and everybody's in the know. It makes it so much easier for not only the borrowers, but everybody in general. It makes it such a smoother transaction if everybody is, on the same page and shooting for the same goal of getting to that finish line and even beyond, right? So, communication is key. I always would rather you tell me more information than too little. It makes it easier to put together different scenarios and that sort of thing initially. And then, of course, when you're ready to put in that offer, we're all on the same page in case like the borrower is really borderline on their debt to income ratio. And we need to know specifics about the actual home to make sure that there's no hiccups once they go under contract. One thing I have seen a lot recently, especially in the fall, so we'll see kind of how it trends this new year and going into spring. But there has been so many seller credits that we're able to see on the contract. And that will obviously allow for us to use as a rate buy down. And a lot of borrowers are loving that because they obviously can reduce their monthly payment. So I kind of wanted to just show a quick little snapshot of how much savings that could be and how you could kind of be that hero to make it happen. So everybody loves a five in front of their rate at this point. So even if you can get it down to 5.99 with $2,000, this scenario is just based off of a $500,000 purchase price and 20% down. So it kind of will obviously depend on the borrower's specifics and what the purchase price and loan amount are going to be, but kind of gives you a good idea. So just as little as $2,000 could get you to that 5.99 and save them $35 a month, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it makes every little penny makes a difference when it comes to the buyers, right? So just asking for 2,000, even if you have to go up in price for $2,000, will help them more so than that reduction in purchase price. And then as you can see, the higher the credit you go, the lower the rate you can go. So I've certainly seen a lot of even $10,000 ranges. And that could get them, especially for this specific scenario in today's rates, to that 5.5, which everybody really loves to see right now. Any questions on any of that? And also, if you have a scenario that even if I'm not like the lender on the loan file, I can give you some estimates. Obviously, if I'm not the lender, it might be different for that lender's specific rate sheet, but it should be fairly similar. So don't ever hesitate to reach out and kind of get at least some good ideas of what that would be. Happy to do that. And then that situation, I go over it on my initial call with clients and just kind of give them a good idea of what that option might be, and then more specifically to the property once they go out house shopping. But that will get some buyers off the fence. I've seen it firsthand, and again, just seeing that five in front of the interest rate has helped so many buyers get more confident in going out and finding a house and going under contract, which again just makes it much more easier for you guys. So just educating them on some different ways they can buy effectively today in today's market. So, power of connection is so true. A lot of you already do this, and I thank you for that because it does, in fact, make a not only smoother transaction, but also just a higher conversion rate. So, if you have buyers that um, are on the fence, I can help get them off the fence and just make them more confident in buying. And you don't have to like follow up every week, since I would do that, and that sort of thing. So it makes a huge difference when you actually are the one that does that introduction, and it's more of a warmer introduction than just giving them a lender's name or worse, three lenders' names. So setting up systems, if you haven't already, then maybe that could be your new year goal. But again, streamlining everything makes it less stressful on your end, less stressful on the buyer's end. Um, Part of my systems, I just kind of wanted to show you a brief kind of rundown. So you're aware of what I do. And again, this should take a lot of things off of your plate, like follow-ups and everything if a buyer's not like gung ho. So once you do the group text or email introduction, always set up an initial call. This is 10, 15 minutes. So we kind of go over just their goals and their timelines, and I give them an overview of what to expect on the next step, which is that loan application. A lot of times lenders will just blindly send their, website link to apply, but I really like to kind of explain what they're going to expect on that application, even if they've bought 1,000, like have gone through the process 10 times. Every time is a little bit different. And then once they submit an application and they're pre-approved, I set up a pre-approval call, which you guys are more than welcome to be on. I usually try to do it like on Zoom or Teams or something that I can share my screen, and I will go over all the different scenarios. I'll go through rates and what they look like for that day and go through different options like if you're able to get that seller credit and buy down the rate, um, and just more of an educational type of call. So they are, again, confident. They know what's going on. They know what all the costs are on the loan estimate. And they're not surprised when they go under contract and then they see these closing costs and not sure what they are. Um, and then just checking in on them regularly and getting them specific property estimates. So if they go out and see a home that they're interested in putting in an offer in, to make sure that loan estimate is based on that home and not the initial pre-approval scenario. And that way, again, they're just more confident in putting in the offer because they know the numbers. It hasn't changed like it could in since the initial, especially depending on how long they've been house shopping. A lot of times borrowers, and I stress this to them to give me those addresses so I can give them those estimates, but you guys are more than welcome to reach out to me directly and give me those addresses, and that way I can send it to you guys both. And so again, everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows what's going on with everybody. And once you're ready to put in the offer, I do update that pre-approval letter. It refreshes the date, and we can match it to whatever your offer ends up being. And then a lot of people will CC me on your like email offer. I'm always grateful for that because again, I know what we're doing, what the actual offer looks like, and then I can easily talk to that listing agent and kind of just give them the thumbs up that everything looks good and we don't expect any surprises or anything and only anticipate a smooth closing. So that's always, I always get a good reaction to those listing agents that do receive that thumbs up, whether it's a call or a text or an email. And then once their offer is accepted, you will always get weekly updates on the loan process from me, if not more than once a week, depending on what's going on. I know a lot of agents will tell me that they never receive like a copy of the appraisal or the final CD, that sort of things that I do think is important that you guys all receive. So I certainly send those out as well. Um, but that's kind of the gist of it all. Um, any questions on any of that at all? Or things you've seen, real life scenarios, that sort of thing?
Hey, Allie, it's
Yeah.
Stacy.
Hey.
Um, I just love that you have this whole system and that you keep us in the loop. I just had a transaction with a builder finance lender, and I was not in the loop at all, and it was very frustrating to be in that scenario. So,
Hmm.
when my buyers have to tell me what's going on, is just not cool. So, um, yeah, I just appreciate that. Just wanted to let you know.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. It's it's definitely a thing where lenders are not all equal, and I definitely love working with all of you guys and making sure that everybody's in communication because it is important. But a lot of lenders don't think that. Okay, so mortgage rate updates. Right now, we're actually technically as of yesterday, it was 6.07 according to Mortgage News Daily. Um, if you haven't heard me say that, I preach all the time that Mortgage News Daily is probably one of the best sites out there. And there's a good app to have on the go as well. And it just gives you the nationwide average best case scenario interest rates that are there. Um, Again, it does depend on your buyer's profile, credit, down payment, that sort of thing. So it's not exact, but it gives you a really good idea as far as where they are. And if somebody asks you on the fly, you should be able to just pull up your phone real quick and give them that answer. Um, so that's kind of where they're at since December 1st. So obviously, per usual, they're kind of just up and down. And then the beginning of the year, they have come down. So hopefully we can continue to see that coming down. There is a lot going on in the news that is affecting that. And there is a report coming out today that hopefully will have rates coming down a little bit more as well. That's all I have. So, anybody have anything else to say or any questions, anything that they want to go over at this point?
I know I've said it before, but just to piggyback off of what Stacy said, just give you a little affirmation. When I was selling, anytime you would respond to an offer email, like to the listing agent, it was always just so supportive because to your point, it takes away the question of like, what does that lender like to work with? And it doubles down on proactive communication on the buy side. And anyway, so I know we talk about that often, and I know you mentioned it, but personal experience wise, I loved that.
Thank you. And I do think it's probably easiest for you all to just add me to the CC email, or even if you didn't want to show that I'm on it, to be CC me, and that way I at least know that you've submitted it, and that's when I can go and just give the listing agent a quick call or text. But um and as far as pre-approval letters go, updating them, I can do that wherever, like I can do that straight from my phone. So that's never a bother. I've had agents be like, worried they're bothering me on a Saturday or Sunday or whatever, but it's really never a inconvenience. So,
Well, that matters
well,
because that's when we're working. So
yeah, I mean, exactly. And I'm working 24/7 too, so I'm right alongside with you guys, so it's never a bother.
cool. Well, thank you for doing this today, Allie. I know we don't have too many people on this call directly, so I'll leave it for now in terms of questions. But like you said, anyone watching it back, feel free to reach out if you are new to Choice. Like she mentioned before, Allie loves to sit down and get coffee. If you haven't yet connected, even if you've been here for a while and you've seen her on calls, if you haven't had a chance to speak with her one-on-one, reach out. We love coffee in this place. So take a chance, get to know each other. This is a relationship-based business just as much with our partners as it is with our clients. So, thank you guys for showing up today. Thanks for chiming in. We'll get a recording out. And then, as always, if you have questions, reach out to her directly. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.